Claude Code stores its configuration across several key locations, and understanding them is the difference between fighting your tools and commanding them. In this tutorial, we will walk through 7 essential paths: global settings, project instructions, the memory system, MCP server configuration, project-level MCP overrides, lifecycle hooks, and environment variables. Let us dive in. First, the global settings file at ~.claude/settings.json. This is the master control panel for Claude Code. It defines your default model, your permission rules, and your API behavior across every project on your machine. Inside, you will find the model field, which picks your default Claude model. The permissions block with allow and deny lists controls which tools Claude can use without asking. You can also configure status line scripts, environment variables, and hooks right here. There is also a settings.local.json variant for machine-specific overrides that you do not want to share with your team. When in doubt about why Claude behaves a certain way globally, this file is the first place to look. Next, every project can have a CLAUDE.md file at the repo root. This is where you write persistent instructions that shape how Claude behaves for that specific codebase. Think of it as a brain transplant for each project. Coding conventions, build commands, architectural notes, things Claude should always or never do, all of it lives here. Claude reads this file automatically at the start of every session, so you never have to repeat yourself. You can also place additional Claude.md files in subdirectories, and they apply when Claude works inside those folders. And there is a global version at ~.claude/claude.md for instructions that follow you across all projects. Keep it short, specific, and actionable, like a great onboarding document. Claude also maintains a memory system inside ~.claude/projects. There is one folder per project, named after its path, with markdown files that persist between sessions. This is how Claude remembers who you are, what you are working on, and what feedback you have given. Memory files come in several types: user files describing your role and preferences, feedback files recording corrections you have made, project files tracking ongoing work, and reference files pointing to external resources. An index file called memory.md is loaded at session start with 1 line per memory. The result: every new session starts already knowing your context instead of starting from 0. Now, MCP servers. For Claude Desktop, server connections live in the Claude_desktop_config.json file. On macOS, that is under library/application support/Claude. On Windows, it sits in the app data folder. Each entry in the MCP servers block defines a command, its arguments, and optional environment variables like API tokens. This is how Claude gets superpowers: file system access, GitHub integration, databases, browsers. Every external tool flows through this file. Edit it, restart the app, and the new servers appear. But the desktop config is global. For project-level MCP servers, Claude Code reads a .mcp.json file at the repo root. The format is the same MCP servers block, but scoped to the project, so your team can check it into version control and share the exact same tool setup. Project-level servers are perfect for a project-specific database connection or an internal API that only one codebase needs. Claude Code merges these with your user-level servers, and the project file wins when names collide. Next up, Lifecycle hooks, configured in your settings and living under .claude/hooks. Hooks are shell commands that fire at key moments. A pre-tool use hook runs before Claude executes a tool and can block or modify the call. A post-tool use hook runs after, which is perfect for auto-formatting files Claude just edited. And a stop hook fires when Claude finishes responding. Use it to run tests, send notifications, or enforce final checks. Hooks turn Claude Code from an assistant into a governed pipeline, where your rules are enforced by the harness itself, not by trust. Finally, environment variables. Anthropic_API_key provides your credentials when you are not using a subscription login. Claude_code_max_output_tokens raises the ceiling on how much Claude can write in a single response. There are variables for proxy settings, telemetry, and model overrides too. You can set them in your shell profile or in the env block of settings.json, which applies them to every session automatically. So that is the complete map. Global settings for defaults, Claude.md for project instructions, the projects folder for persistent memory, the desktop config, and .mcp.json for tool integrations, hooks for automation, and environment variables for runtime control. Understanding these 7 paths gives you complete control over how Claude thinks and acts across all your work. Master the paths and you master the tool.